Should the Chicago Bears delay signing Jalen Johnson to a contract extension and wait to see how he meshes with the young core? We're going to talk about that. Plus, dive into a long mailbag today. You guys have been active this week. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's up, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Hayes. If you want to follow me, you can do so right off the top at CEO Hayes. That's CEO Haize. You can also follow the show at Shy Bears Central on every social media platform. I don't know why I had a brain fart on that one, but that's where you can follow the channel at. But let's go ahead and get into the content for today. So first up, we're going to talk about Jalen Johnson, right? And considering the additions to the cornerback core of the Chicago Bears, there's been some talk, and Jalen Johnson not showing up to OTAs, which are optional. Let's make sure there are a lot of veterans that don't show up to OTAs. But there's now conversations starting to naturally go about the contract extension. And should the Chicago Bears delay, what could a contract extension for Jalen Johnson look like if they decide to extend him and things like that? Well, when you look at drafting Tariq Stevenson and Terrell Smith, who both factor in to be at least rotational pieces for the Chicago Bears, one of them is definitely kicking Kendall Verdore out, thank God. But with that being said, you have to look at everything. And the Bears may very well wait to evaluate this whole season to see if any of those young guys shine extremely well to where they think that, again, as I've said with this whole offseason, Ryan Poles' thing is value, right? Even if it means a player that maybe not as good, but you're getting better overall value out of, Ryan Poles seems to be a GM that leans more towards the value of it all, right? And if that is the case, right, if that is what Ryan Poles ends up doing or valuing more, he could want to see if any of these young guys really shape up and how they project to be a part of that secondary overall. Knowing Ryan Poles as well, he's probably also do some future forecasting on cornerback free agents, what their value is probably going to be. He's going to look at other corners coming in the draft, and maybe he can get some value out of there as well. But when it comes to Jalen Johnson, we know what he can be for the team, and we know what he has been for the team. And it's not an indictment at all on Jalen Johnson's talent at all. I think everybody knows that Jalen Johnson has talent. The biggest question is the value of it all, right? What does he want out of the deal? What is the number that he wants, and what is the number that the Bears feel is the value for them? And then what's the difference between those two numbers if there is one, right? And so when you're looking at Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Terrell Smith, Tariq Stevenson, that could be a very great core, solid core for you for years to come, right? And Jalen Johnson's already said that he would like to have a contract extension done before the start of the season. Now, I do not know if that's going to be the case, but when you look at the caliber of player Jalen Johnson is, usually those players don't make it to the open market. Teams like to lock those players in. And so, it all comes down to, and what it has been for the free agent discussion so far since Ryan Poles took over, it's just the number. Does Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears front office agree with the value of that? He's going to want high-end money. And I don't think many people are going to question if he's worth that high-end money, but it's about the value. And with the Chicago Bears, and the reason why I wanted to have this conversation that they may want to delay, not to say that they don't want to re-sign him, is to really take a look at what this cornerback core is going to shape up to be. But, hey, Jalen Johnson is a talent. And while there are some concerns that he's not a perfect player, no player is, I would like to see, as I've said before, I've said it with David Montgomery, I've said it with Roquan Smith, I would like to see him retain and be a Chicago Bear for a long time. But the biggest question here is talent, is the value, right? And so Jalen Johnson is probably going to want and deserves to be paid like a number one cornerback in this league. Now, we want to see the defense take a step up, and I do like that the improvements we've made overall on the defense help in pass coverages overall, but also the improvements we've made specifically in the secondary over the last couple of years and with the cornerback selections in this draft, is going to see. So, Jalen Johnson, if he decides if a contract extension is offered and whether he accepts or declines that contract extension and it opens up negotiations, do not be surprised if things go the way that things have gone with other Chicago Bears free agents that have gone into contract negotiations with Ryan Poles. But let me know down below. What do you guys think? Do you think that Jalen Johnson is going to get a contract extension done before the season like he originally stated that he would? And if not, do you still see him being a Chicago Bear for a long time? Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. but it's Friday. So that means most of the episode is built around your mailbag, your voicemails that you got in. And we're going to get into the first one today. This one is from Breezy.
What up? Hey, it's Bobby, C-Dub, Beezy here. Been listening to the channel for a while. I got one thing on my mind. Just calling to say, all these Bears fans need to put some respect on Pole's name, Eberflus' name. I get it. We need to see it happen on the field. We need to see the production. But at the end of the day, I'm with Bobby. 28 years, Bears fan. Ain't never seen a look like we're about to see it coming this season. But anyways, I love the channel. Love y'all. Keep up the good work and bear the fuck down.
All right, and Breezy says, never seen a Bears team like this. I agree. I think that the balance that we could have and we shape up to have on offense and defense is a lot higher than what we've almost ever had on the Chicago Bears team. The potential on this team is crazy. But I also want to put it in perspective that we are still talking about a team that won 3 games last season. So while the potential is there, while the heart, the fight, all that, while we have a number 1 quarterback, all that is there, it still has to translate to wins at some point. And that's kind of been my thing, I know, the last week or so in most episodes, is that whatever, yes, we have talent. Yes, we have weapons. Yes, we got dogs. Yes, we got potential. Yes, we got all of those things on both sides of the ball, right? For the first time in a very long time, I would say the offense and defense shape up to be about even, right? Probably I still lean more towards defensively, that we're going to be, that part of the game is going to come together for us a little bit quicker than our offense. But yeah, there has never been a Bears team. I am 36 years old. I have an adult child. Shout out to Xavier, who's 17 years old, about to be 18. But I've never seen a Bears team that's been like this on both sides of the ball. The potential of this team is wild and crazy. But we have to absolutely see that potential come together and actually win some football games. All right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one is from Tonio.
Hey, it's Tonio from Georgia calling in. I got a quick question and thought. The Bears on paper have really improved what they were last year. Now, my biggest concern is that they look good on paper and don't perform on the field. It's giving me like the 2017, 2018 Browns. That team on paper looked like it was going for a pretty good season, but the Browns would be the Browns, and that is what it is. But do you think that the Bears turn into the Browns what they were on paper, or do they actually have enough pieces in and out that they look like a team competent on both sides of the ball? Thanks. Let me know what you think.
All right, on paper, the Bears have improved. In that comparison to the Browns, I'm not going to lie. That's a bit of a scary comparison, because you're right, on paper, but I think the Browns had some other things going on as well. The one thing that we have here is not only on paper do we have a very solid team, we got character, right? We have guys that are high character, high value guys. That is why you did see a lot of the people that we drafted came out of the Senior Bowl, right? And that Luke Getsy got to coach one-on-one. This Bears team absolutely values character. And because of that, I do think that it's a little bit different than the Brown situation. So to answer your question, yes, the Bears on paper have a very solid team, have made improvements across the board almost on paper. But as I said with the last voicemail, it has to translate to wins, right? And I'm not saying that the Bears have to come out they're going to come out and win every single game next season. I'm not saying that. There are going to be some tough times. It may be a rough start for the Chicago Bears. But once they start to pull it together, once they start to win some of those close games that they lost last season, once they start to dig in and build that character and build their identity and winning style, oh, the sky is the limit for the Chicago Bears team. So, yeah, I'm a Bears fan, so of course I'm going to say that the potential is crazy, and I do believe in this potential more of this team than that Browns team you compared them to, but they still have to prove it. And so while we're doing some of the right things, while we're saying all of the right things, it has to ultimately culminate in the right thing, which is winning football games for the Chicago Bears. And I hope that that's what we see. We have potential on both sides of the ball. I've said it before. It may not be this season, but eventually, with the way that we're going and the trajectory that we're on, we could have a team that is top 10 in offense and defense. And if you get to that area, that's when the winning better goddamn well start. So that's what I think. Great question there from Tonio. Let me know what you guys think down below. All right, let's get into the next one. This one is from Grego.
What's up, Chicago Bears Central? This is your boy Grego. Hey, look, man. Every time I call in, I'm going to say how important you guys are to the culture of Chicago Bears fans. I mean, y'all doing it. Having said that, Hayes, last time I called in, I asked about, are you guys in the future planning on doing any like live events? But I mean, like, post up at like a local restaurant or something, let our fans in Chicago come out, see you brothers, man. We love to chop it up, get a meal on us, whatever it would take. And I also have my boy open up a restaurant in Hyde Park called Bronzeville Soul. Shout out. I'm telling you, it'd be a nice spot. It's real cool. But anyway, the reason I'm calling is about, I just see a lot of buzz around Chase Young. I'm not as enamored with Chase Young as a lot of people are. Not doubting the talent. And I'm not even doubting the fact that he got injured. That happens. It's a violent sport. A lot of collisions, a lot of things happen. What I've always doubted about Chase Young, and I'm thinking about David Conley, why if I were GM, I would stay away from them, particularly when we're trying to build a new culture in Chicago, is because it seems like there's always a question about their motive, their drive. No doubt, talent, probably the best talent at their positions in the NFL. But I remember Chase Young, his last year at Ohio State, they were talking about him. And I think, I could be wrong, probably got to check with Steve-O, the savant when it comes to college players. But I think there was a question about, and he actually took off plays a lot, or enough that it was noticed, that his stats didn't equal up to his particular talent level. So I'm a firm believer, and I said this before, if you got to question the person's drive and commitment to the process, whatever you want to call it, don't need them, particularly not at this juncture. We don't have enough people in the Chicago Bears, the players, who will be able to absorb that and train them up. All these guys are trying to find their way. Even Justin Fields, who is the leader of the team, still is trying to find his own way. And, hopefully he grows to what I call a franchise quarterback. And I truly believe he will. But having players like Justin Fields and pretty much the core players, they're all kind of young, still trying to establish a culture, as well as so. I just don't believe a player like Chase Young, who has questioned about his drive, will be a good fit. I don't care how talented you are. So I just want to end on that. Again, you brothers, keep doing it. And oh, by the way, Bronzeville Soul, get there. I'll make it happen. If y'all want me to help, I'll try to make it happen. This is what I do. Bear down.
First of all, thank you for that. Listen, we are to hear that we are important to Bears culture is one of the best compliments that you can give us. When we built this platform and we started it, me, C-Dub, and Bobby, it was that we wanted to be those fans, right? We wanted this to feel like talking and chopping it up, talking sports with some of your best friends, right? The barbershop talk, those type of things. And that's what we have. And I think we've done a pretty damn good job at capturing that, especially on the episodes all three of us are together. Now, it doesn't happen as much, right? Like, it doesn't happen, and I think that kind of makes it more special. We do the Sunday live streams now when it's the off season. During the season, you'll get all three of us a little bit more live calls, things like that. But when all three of us are together, it is such a special and unique thing that and that's not that this is not a slight on any other Bears channel, but I think that's what makes us a little bit different, right? And on top of that, we a little crazy, if I'm just being quite honest. But as far as the get together live, actually, and I know it's Bulls Fest weekend, which is August 19th weekend, I believe. Since we're all going to be in Chicago together, we are planning on trying to do some type of meetup at somewhere. So, reach out. If your friend has a restaurant we love, we're looking at venues now. So yeah, we definitely are trying to do something where we can link up with everybody live and just have some fun. But as far as the buzz around Chase Young and, around his drive and, Justin Fields, I talked about this, I think, on yesterday's episode. Justin Fields' leadership shows more every single day, right? And And I love the growth there. And I'm talking about Chase Claypool. You asked about Chase Young. I'm going into a completely different area. As far as Chase Young and the questions around Chase Young, I agree. I understand with most of what you said. That the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of questions around Chase Young in his draft. I mean, in his drive. There are questions of if he takes plays off. But here's what I'll tell you, right? You also have to bet and double down on your culture. You have to double down on your hits principle. You have to double down on what you think your coaching staff to get out of place. Chase Young is an extremely young and talented player. So even if he does have those questions kind of around his drive, if the Bears, and I'm not saying that they will, but if the Bears were to make a move for Chase Young, you have to keep in mind that Ryan Poles has done that research. Ryan Poles is going to look into how that player is going to fit on this team. Ryan Poles is going to look into all of that, I believe, before he brings any player into this team with questions around them. I think he already brought in Chase Claypool with some questions. We'll talk about that on a different voicemail, mix them up. But Chase, your concerns around Chase are valid. Let me say that. Let me be clear there. But I think that if Ryan Poles made the move, I'm going to trust him and Matt Eberflus in the system that they are trying to build here, considering they just passed on a player in Jalen Carter because of character concerns there and work ethic concerns. If they make a move for Chase Young, it's going to be that they did their research on it and they feel that they made a solid enough decision that they're betting on the culture that they're building and this coaching staff to motivate him. That's my thought on it. But like I said, you are very valid in that. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one is another one from Tonio.
Hey, C-Dub, Bobby. Got a question for you. C-Dub, I sent it as a text. I don't know if maybe it didn't go through. My question is about GM Ryan Poles. How many moves, or is there anything that you're looking for in particular that submits himself as that genius? Because, as we heard, is he a genius or a jackass? And I want to know, is there anything that he has to do, or are you looking at a certain number of moves he has to make for him to be considered that genius, or is there one big swing and a miss and now he's a jackass? Because when we look back, Ryan Pace had, some good moves and some bad moves, but then at times, it looks good on the front end, but then it screwed us on the back end. Poles is making moves that seem to look good on the back end, but kind of questionable on the front. So is he on a baseball count? Does he have, 3 strikes and he's out, or, is he allowed some mess ups? Do you want a super, home run hit move, or are you more liking the low key moves, the under the radar moves, and building a team from up under? Because like you said, he wants to build through the draft. So are you wanting him to have this boom? Here's the slam on the table, the home run hit, or do you just want that? Hey, here's a couple of moves. We just getting on base. We're just trying to get on base, keep it moving, get the runs in, bring the runs up. You want a grand slam out the park? He's our genius, or is there? He makes one more move and he's a jackass. Thanks, C-Dub. Bobby, look forward to hearing from you. Bear down.
So very early into this show, C-Dub had an amazing quote. I honestly think it was probably one of our first 3 to 5 episodes together. He said that we're going to find out if Ryan Poles is a genius or a jackass, right? And I think initially there he was talking about that first draft, the draft that we got Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon in. But it's kind of become a mantra here at Chicago Bears Central on genius or jackass. And when to say for me, right, and I'll ask this question again, be on the live Sunday where all 3 of us are going to be live because I'll make sure to ask C-Dub this question as well. But for me, it's all about if this version, if what you're building works. And by that, I don't necessarily mean Super Bowl. It's so many things and factors that go into be able to winning a championship that I can't make that the barrier on if Ryan Poles is a genius or jackass. But it's just if the deals that you made work. Right? When you look at, for example, getting Jack Sanborn and what he has seemed to be in his short stint so far as an undrafted rookie, if that ends up turning into something that now he's coming in probably as your day one starter, if he comes in and performs for a full season, those are things that contribute to being a genius. It's how you build the team. I don't personally judge it by if we win a title. I judge it by the moves that you've made. Like, for example, passing on Jalen Carter, going for Darnell Wright, getting Javon Dexter, getting Zach Pickens, Noah Sewell, right? Getting those players. Instead of going for the blue chip talent in Jalen Carter, if that ends up working out for you with more depth and what you got in your first round pick, if that ends up turning into subsequent, like if we get another high draft pick from that Carolina pick, those are things that go into being a genius. And like you said, yes, Ryan Pace had a pretty solid start, but I think it's the sustained success over time for me, right? And so for me, it's not going to be made in 1, 2, 3, even 3 years. For Ryan Poles to be a true genius is going to be judging over time and how those decisions have helped reshape this Bears roster over time. So I think over 5 years or so, we'll have the answer to that question. I will say this: he is trending way more towards genius than jackass. But that is how I personally measure that, and we'll talk about it on Sunday's episode where all three of us are on live together as well. All right, let's get into this last voicemail for today. This one is from James.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hayes, Bobby. So this is James. I'm just calling because I have some things. I've been following y'all for a minute, and I just wanted to share with you guys some of the thoughts that I've been having. I've been with y'all since last year, man. It's under Summer Rain Media. But look, first off, talk about Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool had some attitude issues coming out of Pittsburgh. Didn't know what was going on with that. Justin addressed them. He was like, man, his whole attitude has changed during this OTAs. You know, he can see a big difference in who the person that he is. I hope he changed because that has a big deal to do with, you know, how you going to do it. I love the way Justin is just handling all this. He's already called out his number one. My number one is DJ Moore. Love that about him. Number two, Hayes, can you please share with everybody where you be getting your Bears gear? Because your gear be off the chain, man. Love your gear, bro. I still want, I can't be the only person that's out there wanting you or y'all to go ahead and drop some merch for Chicago Bears Central. Because, I want to support this shit. Just off top. And the last thing I was going to talk about was handling the Chicago media with all these newscasters coming in. It's a good thing that your boy that went to the Ravens or where I think that's where he went. But so not everybody's going to be able to handle Chicago media. When you come to Chicago, it's not talked about enough. You are an instant celebrity. Off top, major city. That means you get VIP everywhere you go, and it's not just in the clubs. It's at dinner. It's at the gas station. It's everywhere. You are an instant celebrity, whether you on offense, defense, special teams. Cats gonna know you in Chicago, and not all players are gonna be able to handle that. I love the way Pose and Ryan are picking the right people for the city of Chicago because not everybody understands that. That's all I gotta say, and I just want to know if you agree with me on that last part because it's a real part. Not all these cities are like we are. They not like the crib. All right. That's all I got. Thanks.
All right. So Claypool's attitude has changed. And that was a big positive for me to hear. I think when you have heard about the things about Chase Claypool and why he got out and things out in Pittsburgh, you want high character guys. And I think that they value that here. And I think that him coming into this culture that we are building, we are still establishing, right? But him coming into that and having a leader like Justin Fields that, in a way, even though Claypool, I think, is the older player, Justin Fields really taking him under his wing in the sense of, we got to get you on page for what we're building here. And that leadership that Justin Fields is showing in that development is going to be huge for the Bears long term. And I love seeing that from Justin Fields, and I love seeing and hearing that Chase Claypool is coming out of that and his attitude has improved. Chase Claypool is going to be a big part, hopefully, of the Bears' success and hopefully a big part of the team overall, right? And to do that, his head has to be in the game. And so to hear that he's grown in that way in the offseason, it's been good. And, you know, I think that the culture that we're building here, and that's one of the things that I love seeing with this team is the culture, right? When you look at teams in sustained success over time, they have a culture. Not only a system, but they have a culture. And I would love Matt Eberflus to be one of those coaches that coaches the Bears for a decade because of the culture and the success that we sustained over that time. And so I love seeing it. And I think Chase Claypool really coming into that culture and growing within that could take his career to next heights. And I think he knows that as well. Chase Claypool going into where he's going to with that next contract doesn't want to have character concerns around him. And hopefully that he can rehabilitate that here in Chicago and he can have a big season for us. And then we're talking about him being a Bear for a long time. Now, as far as the Bears drip, I appreciate that. I'm a lifelong Bears fan, and I wear my teams. I wear Bulls, Bears, and Sox clothes all the time. Like, I don't cover the Sox for the network. That is covered by Big Kev, but my Sox drip is right up there with anything else as well. But as far as merch, we'll get something going. I have a bunch of Chicago Bears Central tees. I haven't really put them out there for sale yet because I've been struggling finding like somewhere to make them and produce them in bulk. But we'll find something. We'll find something, and then we'll definitely start getting that once we announce it. We'll start getting that out to people and telling you guys how you can order it for sure. But that's it. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are tuned in for tomorrow's Mailbag episode as well that C-Dub and Bobby will hold down. But that's my time. Make sure you're following the show at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for our Mailbag episodes, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.